So once you're done trimming it back to length, just slightly over to start off with, you use a case chamfering device tool. It's got sharp edges on both. You crank it like that, and it spins off the sharp edge, removes all the burrs, and same with doing it on the inside. And that helps bring your brass down, so that when you go to put it in your press, you're not scraping up the inside of your dies because of sharp metal. Even though it is brass, you can still damage your die. So once you've knocked your shoulder off with your chamfer tool here, I bring it down to near length. And while I'm doing this, I'm making sure it's well lubed but not over lubed, or else you're going to end up with dents in your shoulder. And I am now at the right length. I'm going to send it through my length trimmer one more time and then de-chamfer, and then I'll be back to you. So it's actually as easy as that to get your 300 Savage brass. You may have to check the wall thickness of your necks areas due to the fact that occasionally some of the 308 brass is thicker than your 300 Savage brass in the upper area here, especially if it's a military style. The 762 by 51 there is one that you will have to get a neck thickness trimmer in order to thin out the neck. But standard 308, 243, and any of the other cartridges that are based off the 30-06 casing are acceptable. You can do it with 30-06, but when you use 30-06, you definitely have to remove some material from the neck, because you've taken material that is now in the body and using that as your neck, and the body thickness is a little thicker than what your rifle prefers, unless you've got a really worn out chamber, because that's where all the meat is in this area. And if you have that thickness that's down here, up here, when you put your bullet in it, it becomes fractionally larger than what many chambers will accept. It'll be hard to close or won't close, and if you try and shoot it like that, you're going to definitely have yourself issues. But if you use 243 cases and 308 cases, generally I have not had any problems. If I have any problems, it's generally because it's a military brass as opposed to a civilian style brass. Anyway, that's how you make 300 Savage. If you have a 308 or a 243 that shoots the case here, you're going to want to mark these in some way, just with a felt marker or something, just so you don't get them mixed up. Anyway, from this point on, you can treat it as your standard brass. You may want to think about annealing it right away, because you have done a little bit of work hardening on it, and there are plenty of other YouTube videos on how to anneal your cases, or there are other people that will anneal cases if you speak to them nice enough, if they have an annealing device. Me, I just use a propane torch and a bowl of water. So when you're doing this conversion, remember, take a Sharpie or another marker of some sort and mark these brass, because their head stamp will not show what they actually are, and you don't want to be running into any issues of trying to jam one of these into your 243 or 308 or anything, because this round can fit into a 308, but it'll create a heck of a mess in the chamber, because if you're seating them long, it might just go. I'm pretty sure it would go down the barrel, but yeah, it would present you all sorts of problems later on. So mark these cases that you've modified with some sort of marking device, and then ensure whenever you go to the range that you grab all your brass, so nobody else doesn't, who wouldn't suspect this change happening, find the cases. You go, oh, 308. Throw it in their brass, and all of a sudden, if they're completely moronic or unable to realize just by the visual inspections that should be happening along the way, that you have changed the case diameters, measurements,